Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we're going to recap the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. I think it's the second one, but this might have actually been the first one with a renaming, as well as Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the featherweight. We're going to talk a little bit about ADCC, some of the movements and announcements that have happened over the past couple of weeks, and talk a little bit and tease our top 10 show that comes out at the end of every year. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, with the co-host.
Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
Can't complain.
Can't complain. It's only 11:10 at night. Old school Grappling Rewind, doing it late on a Sunday. In the news section, I wanted to talk a little bit about, there's not a whole lot of news this week. We're getting close to the Christmas holiday season.
Which means no jiu-jitsu.
Fight to Win has an event on the 14th of January. I do not know where it is broadcast yet because Fight to Win may or may not renew with Flow. We just don't know yet. So that's the only upcoming event for the next week. We have Fury grappling.
I like how you said week because it's not even in the 20s of December.
Right.
It is the 19th.
Yeah, then we have Fury on December 30th. That's coming up as well. I'm not sure where the top 10 show for the year is going to go, but it will be either next week or the following week. As with always with the Grappling Rewind, we play it fast and loose with the dates of things. So in the news, let's talk a little bit about ADCC. Let's talk about the big ADCC news. Then let's talk about the other entrants that have been announced. We see a couple of them to this week on the show. Gordon Ryan and Felipe Pana. Felipe Pana has announced that he wants to go to plus 99 to face Gordon in the weight division now that he is out of the super fight and basically back into the tournament as a former returning world champion.
Great, I guess. We'll see how it goes. He technically retired from gi competition.
Like last week after Worlds. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it goes. He has 2 on Gordon. It's the match. It's the match that we've all wanted to see for, what are we going on? Almost 3 years now at this point since the last one.
We wanted to see a few matches, but it's still we'll see when it actually happens, if it actually happens. Mo
Jackson, the event runner for ADCC 2019 and 2022, talked about basically if he wants to go, he gets first dibs on where he goes. I will make sure and move things around as they need to be moved in order to get him in the division to have those matches. And Felipe Pana has responded and said, things about Gordon, he's not a fan. And Gordon has responded and gone, look, I was going to fight him for a bunch of money on a pro event, but if he wants to fight me for free in ADCC, by all means. And I thought that was a response that made me kind of laugh a little bit.
It's true.
I think it's really interesting, though, because we've seen a ton of advances in Gordon's game over the past couple of years, although he has not nearly been as active post-ADCC 2019.
Who is he even training with?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what his training situation is, because the B-Team guys have opened their gym, and we haven't really seen... Again, I don't really follow Gordon much anymore on social media, but I haven't seen a lot of postings about, his training situation, where he's training. I think he was back to training after the Philip Rowe match. But yeah, we don't really know much about what is going on with his training situation right now. Him and John have been pretty quiet, and Gary's been pretty quiet with regards to, I think, training. Again, I don't follow a lot of those guys anymore, so I can't speak to it. But yeah, I'll be curious. So
Pana's in, apparently, at plus 99.
Yep.
Gordon's at plus 99.
Yep, and in the super fight, which is the first time ever, which, again, I'm excited about. I like that a guy's going to come in and go, look, I want to defend both of them.
Somebody is going to be talking a lot of shit after that.
I think everyone will. Regardless of what happens, that is where we are in the sport now. Everyone's going to be talking a lot of shit for every reason. Just announced today, a couple of days ago, we had Davi Ramos announced for the 77-kilogram division. We saw Davi Ramos this weekend on the UFC Invitational. Also announced is Rafael Lovato Jr. in the 99-kilogram division. Do you happen to know, I don't have it offhand, what division Lovato was in 2015 or 2013?
I want to say 88.
Okay. I don't remember.
88. I think it was either 88 or 99. I know if he went to 88, it was it wasn't a push for him, because I think that's 190 some odd pounds. 193 pounds. I know he had to cut weight for it, but I think he did 88 a few times.
Okay.
He might have done 99.
So
the
he's
weight
in.
classes kind
He's in at 99. We saw him this weekend. Also in is Lucas Lepre at 77 kilograms. Who there was a big rumor basically, was he in or was he out? He is now announced. We have Kyra Gracie being inducted into the ADCC Hall of Fame. We have Ash Williams, who's a trials winner in the under 66 kilogram division for ADCC. We have Gordon Ryan at 99, and in the super fight plus 99, and the super fight, Lachlan Giles makes a return, officially announced for 77 kilograms. Excited to see. I hope they put him back in the absolute. Like I don't think nice. I don't know if it'll happen the same way as last time.
Spicy magic again,
but goddamn, like I want to see that dude in every absolute. We have.
I mean, Colabate's in it.
Yep, at 66. All the trials winners. The trials winners don't. A lot of them don't have posters yet. I'm just going through the ADCC. They announced posters right now. This week I'll probably get together a whole listing of everyone who's in and basically
so far, yeah.
how many slots that we know about, and I'll probably also include the top 3 or 4 places in the divisions because all those people typically get invitations. Sanji's back in at 88. He was out at 2019 because of the hand injury. He had surgery like 3 or 4 months before.
Shanji's doing 88?
88, baby. That's what he's announced for.
No fucking way. That's wild.
What would you think he was going to be at?
99.
But Lovato's at 99.
And
I mean, he doesn't want to fight Lovato.
Yeah, but still, like...
He's Lovato's coach, if you don't know.
Yeah, but I figured Lovato would be the one that's going down and not Shanji, but whatever.
We have Craig Jones at 88, again, obviously returning. Felipe Pana, who's also announced moving up. Marcelo Garcia getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. I think that's all of the other. We have Bianca Basilio at women's. I think she's under 60. Yeah. Kate at 77. Again, I'm curious to see how that turns out. I think him and Cole are both going to have big weight cuts to get there. Oliver Taza at 77.
I don't think Cade's going to have a weight cut to get to under 77.
You don't?
No.
Okay. I think Cole in a year is going to be. It's gonna be a trip to see him get down to 66 for the last time.
It all depends on how he fills out as an adult.
So that's exciting. We're again a little less than a year away. Now for that, I think as well for ADCC news, we have the trials are potentially going to move from California to Vegas. Because California has a bunch of vaccination requirements, and potentially that's going to create logistic issues with spectators and with athletes, and they have limitations on the amount of folks for venues and stuff. So potentially Vegas is not going to have that. So we're going to move it to from California to Vegas, which is still like I think 4 or something hours by car ride from where it was going to be.
Well, if it was in Southern California, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be in April. I think the date is 3rd and 4th. I think the first week of April is the trials for ADCC. So West Coast trials, so that will be fun. I'm looking at flights and tickets to see if I want to make the trek out there to do coverage. I would love to if I'm able to. So
I was about to say, are you going to even be allowed to?
We'll see.
So, yeah.
So that's news. Josh, any other news? I don't think it's...
Andrew Wiltsey is sponsored by Panda Express.
He finally got it. They've been, 2 years?
He's been plugging it away at it for a while.
For a couple of years. And he finally, Panda Express was like, all right, man, like, you've been winning some stuff. You're exciting. You're a fun guy.
Whether you like him and his gym or not, you just have to think about the opportunity that he just opened up for so many other people from being sponsored by, like, the most ridiculous things.
A major
fast food chain.
Food chain. Like,
you also have to, like, realize that people could be like, or look at when Gary was doing this, it's like he said body by Five Guys. Like,
yeah,
he could get sponsored by Five Guys. You can get these national chains to sponsor you. I don't know how much money he's getting. I don't know if he's just getting free food. I don't know. But it's opening opportunity for people coming up that will be able to, like, you know, you're going to see the golden arches on a jiu-jitsu gi possibly. You're going to see that doofy looking panda from Panda Express. Like, there you go. You know.
I love seeing guys get paid. It's awesome to see a guy as nice as Andrew Wiltsey, who puts on exciting performances, getting sponsored and getting a national sponsor that he's been looking for years and years and years. It's a cool story. Again, very, very excited for the dude getting a giant Panda Express sponsor. The community lost their shit when it happened. And I was like, that's awesome. Good for that guy. Where do you want to start, Josh? You want to start with Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, which finished like an hour ago before this recording?
Sure.
We want to start with, all right,
Let's
there.
Just start with here.
So, I have not got a chance. Legit, this is finishing less than an hour.
Yeah.
for our recording, I have not got a chance to go through and take any notes on Keith Krikorian's run through his bracket for the featherweights. Move down or up?
Down.
He heel hooked and submitted everyone prior with either heel hooks or rear naked chokes. And then in his final match, he went against Jordan Holy, and he beats Holy in overtime. I think, rear naked choke in overtime. He looked good. I watched some of the highlights. He has some deep, like really nice heel hooks. In one of his early matches, again, this is what happens when we're covering something like 45 minutes after it finishes. I think in his first match versus Taisel Lin. Really, really nice heel hook finish there. Krikorian wins, I think, 15 grand? Something like that?
Something like that.
So Krikorian has now won 25 grand in the last 2 weeks. Because he won the high rollers thing that we didn't get a chance to cover this previous week. It was 10 grand. Yeah. So good for him. I mean, I really love covering Krikorian. It's been awesome to see him, continue to win and continue to get paid. I'm curious to see what he looks like at West Coast Trials in a couple months here, especially winning things like this. I interviewed Keith probably
years ago.
I've interviewed him a couple times. We did a big long-form interview that I never actually got a chance to release because I couldn't get the edit to ever work right and get it down to something that was releasable. When he talked about all of his matches with Jordan Holy, I think he's had 4 or 5 matches with Jordan Holy. This was the first one that they've had that actually had strikes. So there was a big question if it was going to go a different way. Yes, combat jiu-jitsu, Josh is doing air quotes there. How much do strikes change it? I think the more we see combat jiu-jitsu, the less the strikes change it. Very, very few matches, guys are really prioritizing the strikes. Even guys that are fighters. We'll talk about this in the Craig Jones versus Cowboy match. We see it less and less.
Which happened.
But it did happen. That was a match that happened. We were talking about if we were going to cover it or not, but we're deciding to cover it.
Look, Donald Cerrone knew he had no chance. Everybody else knew he had no chance. I'm glad that Craig Jones let it go on for longer than 30 seconds. That was much appreciated.
He did try to buggy choke him at one point.
He did try to buggy choke him, which is ridiculous.
I did like Craig in the post-fight talking about the buggy choke. He goes, I was going for it, and then he postured up, and it was kind of burning out my leg a little bit, so I went, I don't want him to burn out my leg and to, basically have this be a problem and not be able to submit him later, so he lets it go. Who did he fight? Was it Ty that tried to buggy choke him?
Who, Craig?
Yeah, who's number 1?
Cade.
Was it Cade?
Ty.
I think it was Ty. It was Ty.
Ty. One of them?
One of them. Black belts now. Oh,
Black
that's
belts.
news.
There you go.
That's news this week. The Rotolo brothers got their... It happened literally 35 minutes after we recorded the show last week. That happened. So both those guys are black belts now. And everyone went, yeah.
Duh.
Which Andre Galval is a genius for this because he did it. So they will have exactly the correct amount of time to be eligible for the following year's Worlds.
That's a stupid rule.
It's a stupid rule, but I'm happy that
There's all sorts of stupid rules.
We're going to see the Rotolos.
Disqualifying somebody for flipping off
something. Josh, I hear you've listened to last week's podcast and watched the fourth year in a row we didn't have a men's absolute final. Go listen to last week's show if you're curious about that. So Craig Jones defeats Donald Cerrone via submission, a rear naked choke at 5:14 in regulation.
It's 3.5 hours long. Put it on 1.5 times speed. Sit back and just watch it.
Yeah, I like the game that Craig played. He played a nice game. He looked to show off a little bit. He entered into the same Uchimata attempt that he hit Dante Leon with back in the day at Kasai. He did not want to let Cowboy tie up with him and body lock him, so he likes the Kane Basami. Does a really nice Kane Basami, like a scissor leg takedown, a couple of times on Cowboy, because he would fence that high overhook and then take Cowboy down with it.
I think that was more of just he didn't care.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. He didn't jump into him and take him over and immediately start ripping. He was trying to take him down, and just sort of
he was having fun.
He was having fun with it, which I appreciate. He then gets over to Cowboy's back, and then he tries to finish a belly down, rear naked choke. They roll over, and then he finishes a belly up, rear naked choke on Cowboy, and then Cowboy tries to strike his way out of it from behind. As he sort of tapping,
that as a tap as well.
It was a strange series of exchanges, but again, I hope Craig and Cowboy got paid for it. I do love seeing it. Combat Jiu-Jitsu, again, not my favorite rule set, but I do appreciate that it does get guys paid. I appreciate the Krikorians getting paid. We get a chance to see Craig Jones and like guys like Cerrone, who are, guys in the twilights of their UFC career that have given us some great matches, are being able to be showcased and put on great grappling matches. So, Josh, any other closing thoughts for the featherweights?
Nope.
Guys getting paid is the highlight for that. Moving on to our recap of, what is this called? The UFC Fight Pass Invitational.
Number one.
But they've already had one of these.
Are you sure?
Yes. Because I remember...
Team battles?
It was the team battle one where they had Pride, they had WEC, they had UFC, and they had...
That was, whatchamacallit? That was a,
That was quintet.
That was a quintet.
That was a quintet in earnest?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. So the UFC Fight Pass Invitational is essentially a quintet. If you do not know what quintet is a team-based battle format where you have teams typically of 5, sometimes of less or more. Polaris does it with their squads format. Subversive does it with their submersive format. UFC Fight Pass Invitational runs a similar format to the in earnest quintets. The dog's hitting the wire here. He was pulling my headphones over.
Alrighty.
And essentially, you have to be under a certain weight for your whole team. You bring your first grappler out, and they go against the other team's first grappler. Teams of 4 here. If you submit, then you stay on, and the other team brings out their next grappler. If you do not submit, both grapplers on each team are eliminated, and you both move to your next grappler in the slot. The first team to essentially either run out of teams loses, or if you go to the final match and it is a draw, it is a decision, I think, based off of the final match, not based in aggregate for all the matches. Again, the judging is somewhat different versus quintet. It's a new event. We're still kind of learning the rules. No heel hooks, like quintet, to try to force guys to just not pummel for the legs, and a little less aggressive stalling calls, which kind of comes into play here for this event. We had Team Alliance fighting championships. We had Fury. We had Team Fury fighting. We had Team LFA, and we had Team Cage Fury. First round, we had Fury FC versus Team LFA. Ends in all draws. We had Ari Farias for Evangelista.
You realize that's...
Oh, yeah, that's reversed.
You reversed it.
Yeah, I reversed it. In the first round, Team LFA versus Team CFFC, we had one submission. We had Rafael Lovato Jr. submitting Mike Wilcox via rear naked choke.
It went to a draw after that. Davi Ramos and Anton Berzin went to a draw.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Because you're removing attacks from the game, like
you're removing the most prolific leg lock in the no.
You're removing something that finishes matches.
Yeah.
You're giving them 8 minutes,
which isn't enough time for interesting matches to happen.
Yes,
I don't think they had any 4-minute matches because sometimes in quintet, if there's a big size discrepancy,
but they didn't do that.
Yeah, they didn't do that here.
But here's the thing, like, you're putting guys roughly around the same size against each other, and some of them are like far more skilled than others.
Yeah, Rafael Lovato Jr. is one of the best American black belts of all time.
Yeah, but you also have Davi Ramos on that same team and Ari Farias. Like,
yeah, two of some of the top competitors in the world.
But
in their
all you have to
respective weight
do is
classes.
just not get submitted for 8 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta not stall, but like you have to do.
But there was definitely times
enough.
where it was like it was stalled out, and that made this not as exciting to watch because some of the stuff you were like, well, he either can't finish it or he just can't get
for
to
this
it.
match, the one that versus Mike Wilcox, Rafael just was on his bike the entire time, just progressing, passing repeatedly, getting to the back, the mount,
pop his head off with that guillotine.
Yeah, the initial guillotine in the match that went off the side, you saw like it was really deep, and then to credit to Mike Wilcox, he just like weathers the storm, and then very, very like is just barely able to pop the crown of his head out of the guillotine. They reset. Lovato again has to continue going because he spent so much time on this choke. Gets to the guard, eventually is able to get to the back and get the rear naked choke. But it was I don't have a time listing here.
It was a little bit later into the match.
Yeah,
but still good. Let's go on to the next round of the semis.
Yep, we had one In team not FAC.
Yeah, it was FAC.
Was it FAC?
Yeah.
Oh, Fury. Yeah, Fury. Fury versus LFA. Sorry. FAC versus Fury. We had Cody Steele versus Jason High was a draw. Mike England versus Travis Tuke was a draw. We had Daniel Pineda versus Grant Dawson was a draw. We had Ricardo Evangelista, not Cyborg, the other one, versus James Krause, and we saw Evangelista win this by straight arm lock.
There's your size discrepancy right there.
Yeah, Evangelista is a big dude.
Like a heavyweight, a super heavyweight. And Krause is not.
Well, I usually fights at 170, so he probably walks around 190 something,
maybe even 200 pounds, but
something like that.
Like even that, like the skill disparity. Evangelista's definitely placed at Worlds, like podiumed, if not won it. I can't.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
I don't recall offhand.
Jiu-jitsu wise, so.
But definitely been a world contender before.
For sure.
I like the straight arm lock. This is something that we're seeing more and more use. It's the violin arm lock. It's that Gringo Sweep combination, which is essentially if someone
attacked it and then attacked it again off of it.
Which is essentially if someone reaches really heavy on like a collar tie from the guard, you can gable grip your hands and pull down over their elbow and essentially lock their wrist between your neck and their own shoulder. And then credit to James Krause, he rolls through the first attempt here, which one of the options and one of the combinations for this move is called a Gringo Sweep. And you knock them over, and then eventually they take the sweep in order to fight the arm through. But Ricardo Evangelista stays on it. He stays on it through the entirety of the roll, goes for the straight arm lock in the mount. James Krause rolls back over, and then they kind of reset, and then Ricardo goes for it a second time, and he refeeds it, and James Krause knows that he can't make the roll because Evangelista has moved his legs up.
And he just had a better bite on it, too.
Yeah, and he also knew that you show it again, a guy like Ricardo Evangelista is so good, he's going to make the adjustments that he needs on that second bite. He gets it. That is the only submission. It was a neat submission. I really do like this technique, but the rest of the match just goes to draw. There are interesting exchanges in all of these, but inevitably, we typically don't talk about the draws in quintet just because it's a draw. It's a draw.
Nothing
and so
happened.
As far as the match goes, you can't really glean a whole lot because it may be a guy playing a rule set, it may be a guy pushing towards the draw.
Somebody tried to pass, somebody tried to sweep.
Yeah.
So,
not a lot happens, so there is that. And then in the finals, we had all draws. The final match goes to Gregory Rodriguez versus Cody Steele that ended in a draw, but then Rodriguez gets the decision over Cody Steele, giving it to Team LFA, which I thought was interesting.
Those are, again, like, it's kind of silly. Like, how do you, like, oh, I'm going to do it this way, and we're going to pick this and choose it. It's too arbitrary.
I thought the judging was good. I mean, it made sense. Gregory Rodriguez came out immediately, jumped a flying triangle on Cody Steele. Cody Steele did a great job of addressing it. You saw a little bit of Steele's wrestling, but as far as submission goes, Gregory Rodriguez continually chased the back on Cody Steele. He looked for, he looked to get his back. He looked to enter the legs. Like, he was repeatedly putting up offense and spent some time, on Cody Steele's back. And Cody Steele did a great job of defending. But overall, there are no other criteria other than decisions. And it's just it's always weird to see the final match go to a decision when you have a bunch of draws, because you're left kind of wanting more. And I think you're definitely in that camp of the wanting more.
Yeah.
So that does it. Team LFA wins, and I think it's $25,000.
Yeah.
So split between the four of them, 2, 3, 4. That's like $6,500 a person. Is that math?
Something like
that. $6,000 a person ish. $6,250 a person.
Yeah, $6,250.
Yeah, $6,250 a person. Also on this card, we have, I'm going to try to find the result for this now.
Right down there.
There we go. We had a bunch of super fights, which, again, I like seeing. We want to start with this one.
Alexa Giannis defeated Danielle Kelly by decision.
She had a really, really nice bite on the armbar and just consistently pushed a better pace. She entered into the legs. She was consistently looking for like a knee bar. And I think really the thing that takes it home, and what they showed in the highlight at the end of the match, was the armbar that she made. She spun underneath, got the hips up really high, and made Kelly, fight very, very well out of the armbar. I haven't seen a ton from her, but we've seen a ton from Danielle Kelly recently. I think we'll definitely see more from Alexa. Yeah. Alexa Yanes. That was, for me, a surprising decision. So always cool to find new grapplers that, I have not seen before. We also had Benson Henderson versus Ben Saunders. I actually really like this match because we've seen Benson Henderson in a couple of matches on like Polaris and a couple of other organizations where they have put him up against top-level, world-class jiu-jitsu guys, and he has struggled. We saw him in a match versus AJ, versus Wagner.
That wasn't a struggle. He beat the shit out of AJ.
Well, not the AJ match. AJ match is a bad example.
Yeah, I was about to say.
The Wagner match was like in the Dorino match.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, he's been doing ADCCs for a while now, too, and he did well in them. So it's not like he's out of his depth. It's just like it's not as much. He's older now. He's at the tail end of his fighting career. His name doesn't have as much pull.
He's not the champion of the UFC anymore.
Yeah,
I think he was doing those things right around when he was the champion.
It's wild that both of them are here in this promotion when they both fight for Bellator, right?
Does Saunders fight for Bellator? Is he retired now? Because Saunders, again, both these guys have been around forever and notoriously really, really great submission specialist. I was actually really happy with this matchup because it was fun. We saw a little bit of Henderson's wrestling come into play, a nice ankle pick. Saunders was very happy to take the grounded position, and play the guard, as we've seen him do for years and years and years in the UFC, pre and post UFC as well. I was also really, really impressed with Benson Henderson's passing. Benson Henderson passes to the left side, to his right side. Which I noticed
everybody is left, which most southpaws do, most like left-handed people do. I pass more that way now just because of the way I feel comfortable.
And also,
it annoys people because they're not as good on that side.
Like most people are significantly not as good on that side. And I was really impressed because 2 times that I remember in this match, Benson Henderson chucks like a really hard knee cut and immediately is able to pop all the way through Ben Saunders' half guard. And Ben Saunders has a really, really good half guard and get to the side control. The first one he is able to capitalize and basically get on Ben Saunders' back. And the second one, Ben Saunders defends and is able to not be turned up as much, but Benson Henderson is able to go for the arm a little bit and continue to go for the neck. I was just impressed with the level of control that Benson Henderson has because we have not seen him be able to showcase that in a couple of years on the grappling stages for the matches that we've covered him. And Ben Saunders is a guy with a notoriously good guard. It was a really nice match to see for Benson Henderson. It was cool to see him being able to kind of open up and not just have to play defensive here. And it was cool. I was very, very impressed with his passing. I'm curious to see if he's going to continue to do more grappling events, kind of like he has in the future. It's always a question with the MMA guys if they're going to do more of that.
Yeah.
So, fun match. I've been a Benson Henderson fan for a long time. It's cool to see him get a win. Next match we had Bobby Green versus Shane Shapiro. Shane Shapiro wins pretty quickly by knee bar. He does the knee bar that I like the most, which is you get under the guy, you sweep him over kind of out of an X guard, and then you just drop him into a knee bar. He fences double feet in, and then he pushes off. And Bobby Green is not about to let his leg get extended all of the way in an exhibition bout for him because does he currently fight for the UFC or just get cut? For some reason, I think Bobby Green. I don't remember.
I think he still fights for them.
Okay, I don't know. I think he just lost a fight recently, but I could be wrong. Again, I don't follow. This is a question for Simon.
Yep.
I don't follow MMA as much as I used to, and as much as I would like to, honestly. But he did the right thing and didn't, let his shit get broken. But really, really quick finish for Shane Shapiro. Gabriel Czecho versus Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen wins via decision. He kept Czecho really, really, not defensive, but Czecho was unable to really impose his game on him.
I honestly thought that match was like a draw.
Yeah, I did too.
I was just like, I don't think anybody deserved to win that one. It was more like you both lost.
They worked. They
were both working. I'm not saying that they weren't, but
there wasn't any big moment for either guy when I can point to it definitively.
That guy should win. That guy should win.
Yeah.
Nah, it should have been a draw.
Yep. And we had Christian Guzman versus Jerry Shapiro, and Guzman wins that via decision.
That was very clear cut.
Yeah. So that was, and Christian Guzman, we've seen him before in Third Coast Grappling.
We've seen him on a lot of things.
Yeah. So that was UFC Fight Pass Invitational 1. Again, I want to see more of them. I hope that they tweak.
They need to change the rules.
I hope that they tweak the rule set a bit. But again, with any inaugural event, you're going to have hiccups. I'm happy that it was a big payout. $25,000 for an event is pretty substantial. Although it's it's $6,500.
$62.50 per person, and that's before taxes.
That's still a good payout for grappling. I like
Vegas. Vegas doesn't have taxes.
They have taxes, but
not. I think.
Welcome to the tax and law section of the podcast, where Josh and I both don't live in Las Vegas and don't know Vegas.
I don't know if they have income tax or not. I don't think they have income.
There's
tax.
something really good for fighters about fighting in Vegas that they're like about.
There's like a few states where it's like if you live there, it's good.
Yeah. So that was this event. And
that's it.
That's it. So moving to the preview and recap section, Josh and I just had to have a 15-minute meeting because realized the podcast was a little short this week. So we were going, hey, what do we want to do? Oh yeah, we have end of the year coming up. So basically, what we do for end of the year is one of our most difficult shows of the year because we have to summarize what's happened in a year, and usually that includes covering like
we normally do our top 10, and it covers everything that we went over for a year. And
usually
you have to
it's
remember
like top 10 athletes, top 10 grapplers, top 10 matches. Usually top 10 matches that we focus it on. But I've been a little less diligent in record keeping this year than in prior years.
Well, because the world was
everything was weird. And it's been a weird. I got married this year. I got back surgery this year. Like it's been a busy year for a number of reasons.
You want to know all the events in January? They were all fight to wins.
Yep, and flow.
Right. And then, like...
BJJ Stars 5, that was fun. The heavyweight GP was fun. We had Gutenberg Pradato's performance and Felipe Pana there.
Sick.
Oh, by the way, if you have matches or things that you think should be in contention for to be on our end-of-year show, or honorable mentions at least, shoot us a DM on Grappling Rewind on Instagram, at grappling_rewind. We do actually pull from that every year. So if you have something you think we missed or we're going to miss, let us know.
The Who's Number One thing with
Craig Jones versus Ronaldo
Jr. came out, and the slap heard around the world. That's what happened.
That was in February.
Wow, that was in February. That was 10 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was crazy. They're going to fight now, too. That was announced that match is going to happen between Andre and Gordon.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that now.
But they found that out.
And then another fight to win.
More fight to wins. More fight to wins.
Fight to win really,
shined this year.
They took us through a lot of the year grappling wise.
Yeah.
Because it was almost the only thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You had some sporadic things like
some Who's Number One.
Who's Number One, where it was Gordon Ryan versus Wagner Hosha.
It was a fun match.
Which was great, but you just was okay. And then EUG came
back.
We had
EUG's inaugural events this year. This is the first year that we've actually had EUG matches. So this was the black belt debut of
that's right.
Tynan Dalpra was on this, and he fought Alves on that match.
Fought everybody.
Yep.
And won.
No, Alves beat him. He won a different one, I think. I think he won the second or third event. Again, these are all things that we do.
have to go back through
that we do in the week leading up to
the Abu Dhabi World Pro
for 2020, which was actually the 20. Yeah, it was the 2020 event, but in 2021 because they delayed it into the next year. We had the first Emerald City Invitational happened this year.
Fight to win again.
More fight to wins.
Lots of fight to wins.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Number One? Lovato versus Gilbert Burns.
Yep.
Subversive 5 happened. The Pans finally happened in May, which was the
IBJJF
cool.
calendar
that was no-gi Pans, by the way.
Yeah, the IBJJF calendar being moved around has completely thrown me off because usually Euros is in January, and we just didn't have a Euros this year.
Yes, and then let's see, Craig Jones versus Luis Panza.
Yep.
The Spider Invitational of the Purple and Brown Belts, which is also really cool to watch. EUG happened again.
Yep, we had more EUG events.
In June. I think that's the one with, was that the one with Micah Galvao?
I believe so. Micah Galvao came onto the scene this year in a big way. We started covering him significantly more. Intermixed in this, we're just looking at some of the flow events right now because that's the calendar that we have up. We had a bunch of Third Coast grappling events that happened this year. We had a lot of Kumites. We had the return of the in earnest Third Coast grappling events as well. We had the BJJ Stars 6, more fight to wins. We had this is the first year that we've actually covered Big Deal Pro.
Yep.
Another big Brazilian promotion that is very similar to BJJ Stars and kind of the level of talent that they have. Typically have a lot of gi matches. We had Flow Grappling's entrance into the ADCC realm, having their road to ADCC that had some phenomenal matches on it. And again, I love that we're seeing in 2021. That's what year we're in, right? 2021?
For like a few more days, yeah.
Yeah. That we're having more events showcasing the ADCC rules, because we talk about rules a lot in today's episode. Historically, I think ADCC has the most exciting rules. I actually talked to John Hansen this week, and we discussed rules and a bunch of other stuff, and probably we're going to do an interview with him sometime in the near future that will come out either on the show or probably on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page, where we talk about rules and some of kind of what makes ADCC's rules work the best, and kind of contrast that with UWW and some of the things that UWW's rules are doing. And, we'll talk about rules. I'm a big fan of rules, and so it's cool that we're seeing that highlighted more.
Yeah, we had BJJ Bet coming back.
Yep.
Again, more Emerald City stuff.
Was the BJJ Stars reality series this year?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to find that on YouTube, you can find the Portuguese titles. I think we can probably get the subtitles now generated, because YouTube has revamped their subtitles.
Oh, that's nice.
So we can probably get that translated.
Happened in September, which was...
Yep, the gi pants. We finally saw not an Atos closeout between Batista and Dominic Bell. That was a very exciting match.
They fought for it.
To determine who the Pans champion.
ADCC trials.
The European trials. We had many more fight to wins that came in here as well. Grapple in the Tempo that we saw Garmo versus Mateus Diniz on that one.
Who's number one championships, which was pretty cool.
That was phenomenal. I think we'll probably have 3 or 4 matches from Who's Number One championship that will be on the top 10 list. There were some really great matches this year, some massive upsets as well that I think spoke to a lot of the changing of the guard happening this year.
Yeah, UWW Senior World Grappling Championship. Like, we're getting into stuff that happened like a month ago.
Yeah, October. ADCC,
the ADCC
North American trials. I definitely think, again, any event that I attend live, definitely, again, we're biased. We've never on the Grappling Ground pretended to not be biased. Any event we attended live.
We've also never pretended that we didn't like steroids.
Yeah, no, go for it. I want to see jacked guys doing jacked guys, and women doing jacked things that people can't do.
Yeah, lots of, and this is only stuff like that we're pulling from
the Flow calendar.
Flow calendar, like a bunch of stuff happened on Fight Pass and other things like that.
All the Polaris events that happened this year.
Yeah,
Polaris squads, the return of Polaris squads, the return of Polaris in earnest with Polaris 18 that happened pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
We had the events that happened on Fight TV, all the Third Coast grappling events. We had, I think, what other pay-per-views did I buy this year?
What was that one? It was in Brazil.
Uh-huh. Yep. You bought it.
I did.
Yeah.
I normally do.
Yep, usually. Oh, it's going to kill me now, Josh.
Was it the BJJ Stars before?
I think it might have been one of the... It was either BJ... I think it was the first BJJ bet. I think it was the first BJJ bet, because it had the betting aspect that was off of Flow. I remember that. I think that was this year.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. Time is...
Oh, it's gonna be such a busy week trying to find all of these and like triage all the matches in the chat this week. Of like, what do you think about this match? Oh, here's the matches. Josh, remember the first couple of years where you just had a phenomenal list every year when your life was less astonishingly busy?
Yeah.
That was fun.
And it was easier because there wasn't as much shit
Yeah, we had
on.
And we had like every other week we'd have them, and then occasionally we had like 1 week we had 4 events, and it was like, what is this? And like 2018, it started.
Oh, and what's it called?
We forgot ACBJJ that one day. Yeah. It was ACBJJ 10. At that time, it was one of the biggest cards that we had ever seen.
They would put on some slappers, but then they just disappeared.
Yep.
And that sucks, but whatever.
Then we had all the matches from Worlds this year. They were phenomenal matches and upsets and things to talk about. We talked about last week. Josh, do you have any thoughts on Worlds?
Nicholas Mergali got screwed.
Mm-hmm.
IBJJF is kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I still love watching shit in the gi, even if other people are bored by it. Fabricio Andre fucking shocked me. I thought Shane was gonna just take him out.
Triangled him.
He fucking submitted Shane. That was wild. There weren't a ton of closeouts, which was cool.
Yep. We had Canuto and Mateus Gabriel closing out.
But there wasn't a ton.
No, we didn't have 3 or 4 divisions of closeouts in the men's divisions like we've had before.
Mysa Bastos, like, putting on a clinic. Always love watching her. Gabby Garcia getting submitted.
First time ever in her black belt career, and then twice in division and in weight, and then retiring, which
it's pretty wild too.
It's super wild. Like, again, we've covered Garcia. We've watched Garcia. I've watched Garcia the entirety of me doing jiu-jitsu as a black belt, and watched her entire run and brown belt, and then to see her, I've never seen her submitted, so it was wild that that capped off the year. That probably will be on. We have a biggest upset of the year too. We have a lot of those this year.
Shit.
This year is crazy for biggest upset. We have breakout grappler of the year. We got a bunch of categories, and I'm curious to see if Flow Grappling is going to do their Flow Awards, because historically we've also piggybacked off of that, and that's helped a lot.
Historically, we record before they do it, and then they release it before ours releases.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then it's like half of the shit that we've said, it's like, oh, it seems like we're just biting off of it because even though we technically recorded it the day before it's released, it doesn't come until afterwards.
Remember that.
And we look like assholes.
Yeah, but that's kind of par for the course for us.
Yep.
So, sweet. It should be fun, Josh. I don't have anything else for this. I'm excited to do World End recap.
We have to wait like 3 weeks. Like, we're going to have to make up shows. Like, go down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, the next event we have Fury, and Fury is December 30th, and we have one other event that's happening, Fight to Win.
A Fight to Win.
Yeah, we have Fight to Win.
It's not on the Flow
we don't know our
schedule,
Fight to Win.
We don't know where they're going to end up.
That's January 14th, and then the next event we have is Brazilian Trials on February 5th.
Yeah.
South American Trials, technically. We call them Brazilian Trials for ADCC.
That's actually on the 6th.
I think it's 5th and 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 5th, and it's a 2-day trials because they're starting to make the bigger trials. Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to make the bigger trials 2 days, which I appreciate.
Slowly going to get older and die.
Mm-hmm. So, on that morbid note, Josh, what's your week look like?
Not very long. I have to work tomorrow and Tuesday, and then I am off until next Wednesday or Thursday.
Fantastic. I'm working this whole week, and then I'm off the following week, going skiing with my family and my brothers and my wife. So,
you really gonna ski?
I don't know.
I was about to say, not trying to like.
No, you're fine. I mean,
hit the ground remotely hard.
I'm a good enough skier where it probably wouldn't be a problem.
I'm aware that you were a ski instructor in a former time in your life, but hitting the ground isn't like.
You don't hit the ground. I'm not going to take jumps, Josh. I'm not going to do sweet tricks like I used to.
Yeah, but like, let's say you take you just fucking wipe out.
That doesn't happen.
Let's say you fucking wipe out.
That doesn't happen. I'm not going to fall over.
Oh, yeah.
skiing.
You know what else doesn't happen? Breaking your back.
That's reasonable.
It did.
Yeah. At a certain point, usually in skiing, you don't fall over anymore. So, like, that's probably not going to happen.
I'm just saying, let's say you eat it. You're trying to fucking stop really quick, and you cut that angle, and you misjudge your angle.
I'm probably not going to ski. But
you're going to sit in the lodge and drink cocoa?
No, I'm going to sit and hang out with my brothers and my wife and have a great time seeing my family, as I do. And then we will laugh so hard.
You'll hurt your back?
It will probably hurt my back because every time my brothers and I get together, it is a wild, hilarious time because it's like two younger versions of me that find my humor hilarious, and I find their humor hilarious, and it's great. And now they're both wildly more successful than me, which is hilarious. I
briefly met them at your wedding.
They're very nice people.
Before I browned out.
Yeah, you were very inebriated for the wedding.
That was awesome.
But great ceremony. So that does it for this week on the Grappling Rewind. Getting close to the end of the year show. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, to the co-host,
Josh.
And we will see you on the mat whenever that is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.